What's going on, everybody? We are finally back with the next installment of Blood Hunt Issue 3, where the heroes and villains of the entire world tried to fend off an entire vampire invasion, with Blade leading the charge against the humans. Now, my name is AJ here at the Hero Informer, and let's get right into it. So first, a quick little recap for those who are newly joining us, or who just forgot what happened. And if so, there's an entire playlist down below if you want to catch up. But originally, we seen Blade manipulate and use every Dark Force user on Earth, causing them to explode and covering the Earth in darkness, meaning no sun is getting through, causing Blade and his new army of vampires free reign upon the Earth, without having to worry. And so next, he took out the Avengers, turning T'Challa into a vampire, imprisoning the Scarlet Witch, and shackling Thor, with the rest of the Avengers barely escaping with their lives, because he has a now super team of vampires with special abilities, each crafted to specifically go against the Avengers themselves. And now the remaining Avengers are now teaming up with Doctor Strange, the Midnight Mission, and even Spider-Man, specifically Miles Morales, to try to see what they can do to quell this new invasion and save lives. But for now, we move back over to where Blade is, on the Impossible City, a floating spacecraft above Earth, which Blade is using for his new vampire headquarters, where we see him talking to T'Challa, or the Black Panther, who is not only a vampire himself now, but is under Blade's absolute control, with Blade ordering T'Challa to use Wakanda's mass translocation device to bring something to him, which is basically a giant teleporter. So keep this in mind, because at the end, this comes back and does something crazy. And while he is in the middle of conversation with T'Challa, someone behind him speaks up, and it is none other than Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, who was imprisoned by the powers of one of the Blood Coven, the team of super vampires I mentioned before. With her going on to say, "Congratulations, Blade, it would appear you have gotten everything you've wanted, and yet I cannot notice that the Blood Coven have returned one member short." As in the previous part, the Avengers led a counterattack against the super vampires and even killed one of its members, and wounding the team, as you see them trying to feast on the blood of Thor, because as vampires they get stronger with more blood they ingest, and what next level can you even go than the blood of a thunder god? As Scarlet Witch continues going on to say, "Yeah, you struck fast and you struck true. We never saw that coming, because in their first battle, there was a sneak attack and the Avengers fell. But now the Avengers' eyes are open, and when that gaze falls on you again, you will wither." As ironically enough, we cut over to see where the Avengers are now, at the Sanctum Sanctor, where we see Spider-Man infected with the same vampire curse, now launching off to attack his teammates and fellow heroes. But before he is able to do any damage, Vision grabs him from behind. But Miles uses his Venom Blast to shock Vision jumping off of him, which I mean, I would think Vision would be more powerful than Spider-Man's Venom Blast, but maybe it's just a bad matchup, seeing how electricity and technology aren't always a good fit. But before Spider-Man is able to do any more attacks, suddenly he is restrained by the Crimson Bands of Sidorak. Because it is not just the Avengers here, no, it is also Doctor Strange and his wife Clea, who quickly came up with countermeasures in case anybody got turned, with Doctor Strange throwing the Eye of Agamotto at Spider-Man, and this seemingly curing him of his bloodlust. But unfortunately, he is still a vampire. He just now has the clarity of mind to not randomly attack his teammates and friends, but still a vampire nonetheless. But of course, Doctor Strange tells Spider-Man not to worry, as he isn't the only one that has been turned to a vampire. As you see, Doctor Strange is currently in his astral form, because his natural body is still a blood-seeking vampire. And oh yeah, I have yet to mention, but also Dracula himself and the daughter of Blade are here too. Because in this time of peril, the Avengers are just recruiting anybody and needing all the help they can get. But as Blade's daughter speaks up, confused about all of this, because she knows nothing of what is going on and her father's true purpose. So Dracula, who brought her along, goes on to say, "I have brought you along, child, to save the world. You must strike down your father, the new lord of the vampires, Blade." And of course, to her absolute shock, Dracula continues to say, "Blade has loosened his legions of the night all across the world, and he is the one who has engineered the darkening of the skies. He has broke the mighty Avengers, and now you're all that's left to stop him. For you, as his bloodline, represents his only weakness, and only your hand can strike him down." But as he finished talking, the heroes then say, "Are we really supposed to believe you? That you're just on our side now?" Because of course, during a vampire invasion, would you really trust Dracula, the previous ruler of all vampires? But of course, Dracula goes on to defend himself, saying, "That is exactly what you're supposed to believe, because it is the truth. My vampire nation was precisely that, a nation, one that will fall all the same if all the other human nations don't stop Blade." But of course, as they are talking and arguing, the kid, the daughter of Blade, just leaves and runs off, which is obviously bad for two reasons. One, it is absolute chaos out there, and even though she is skilled in specifically hunting vampires, she's not invincible and can get herself killed. And two, she is seemingly the key to stopping Blade, so if the heroes want to win, they desperately need her help. And so with that, Dracula and Spider-Man rocket off to go after her. because Miles specifically is a friend of hers. And this plot though will pick up in Miles' own book, which we will cover on this channel very soon. So hey, if you want to watch that too, subscribe and put on post notifications to stay tuned. But as those two people depart, the rest of the heroes then depart on their own, as they make smaller teams that each have their own mission. So they split into 3 groups. Doctor Strange and his wife need to go somewhere to find aid and help in the magical sense, with the Midnight Mission being Tigra and this new Fist of Khonshu going somewhere where they can raise an army that Blade and the vampires cannot kill, cannot turn, and cannot terrify. But the remaining Avengers, they decide they need to handle Blade himself and the Blood Coven, but they need to draw him out into the open for them to even attack. So as everybody else teleports away into parts, the Avengers then come up with a new plan. You see, they can kill 2 birds at once. Not only do they need to draw Blade out, but they can also give the world hope. Tell everyone that they're not alone and they can't give up. So they decide, and Captain Marvel specifically, to broadcast into every system and satellite across the globe to get this message out, with Iron Man hacking in and setting up the broadcast. But of course, then the question of who is going to do it comes up, and Captain Marvel wants this team's Captain America to do it. Because as she says, this is exactly what T'Challa saved you for. Because if you remember in the first part, Bloodstorm 1, the leader of the Blood Coven vampire team, was going to attack and possibly kill Captain America. But T'Challa saved him, saying can't let the vampires have the symbol, because the world will need a symbol. Which of course plays into here, as he will now be the symbol of hope during this dark time to inspire this world. And because of this, Sam accepts, as the cameras start rolling and a broadcast is sent out. He even goes on to say, I am Sam Wilson, Captain America, speaking for the Avengers. Things are bad, I know, but we have been here before. And we're still here now. The world has seen evil time and time again. Aliens, monsters, tyrants, and madmen. And every time we the people of Earth told them no. Sam Wilson then goes on to name some of the atrocities and invasions that they have had in the past. From war-bound aliens, to Null himself, to Hydra, to even Galactus. And every time the heroes and people of Earth have told them no and rise above the threats. And as he is speaking, we see a couple things of note happen. Firstly, we see where the heroes went off to, with the little Midnight Mission team going to Asgard to retrieve help, and Doctor Strange and his wife going to Latveria, which could be very interesting in the future, but we'll see how that pans out. We also see T'Challa or the Black Panther in the undergrounds of Wakanda doing Blade's bidding and whatever he is planning. And speaking of Blade, we see him on the Impossible City, very angry that this broadcast is even going out. But as Captain America continues, he says, we are still here and we will win, like we have won all those times before. Just hold on until the sun shines again, because it will. And this broadcast is successful for 2 reasons. One, it not only inspires hope for the people of the world, but it also succeeded in angering Blade, causing him to want to find out and attack the Avengers. But little does he know he is playing right into their trap, as you could over and see him absolutely seething at the thought of the Avengers winning, with him yelling to T'Challa, things have changed. Retarget the mass translocation device and bring something to New York. Because as Blade goes on to say, your friends have decided that they will not simply lie down and die. And I cannot have that, not when my triumph is at hand. We then move over and see Central Park, New York City. Blade going on to further say, from the caves of Wakanda to New York City, which will serve as a grave of the Avengers, I will drop my greatest prize, which has not seen the sky since the old days of Atlantis, so that it might be their tombstone. As you see a wormhole or a portal open up, and out comes some giant looking object. An object which is rightfully ominous and called the Temple of the First Blasphemy, which I mean just by the name alone and looking at it, this can obviously be nothing good. As the giant monstrosity of a temple looms over New York, seemingly crashing down. And what does this do and what is it for? Well, we will figure out and know in the next issue as this one comes to a close. So yeah, that was issue 3 of Marvel's Blood Hunt. I for one think this issue was pretty good and picked up way more and was better than the second issue. But what do you guys think? Leave it all in the comments down below. I would love to read what you guys have to say and talk about it with you. I also think it's interesting from Captain America's speech, but that it must suck living on Marvel's Earth, as every couple years there's a mass tragedy going on and attacking said Earth. Like if you were in the Marvel universe and lived on Earth, you might as well statistically be better off living on a different planet than living on Earth where everything seems to happen. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like or even subscribe if you are new and enjoyed this type of content. This is the Hero Informer, and thank you for watching.